guys, Drew here again to talk about Ghost Recon Wildlands, this time about the open beta. Mostly doing this video kind of to address any updated opinions I have of the game. So this is going to be a much shorter video, kind of just going back to what I thought before and see if anything has changed. So let's address... My cat just moved the camera. You know what, I actually kind of like that camera angle anyway. The first con that I talked about was the AI was just terrible. And for the most part, this time around not much has changed. The enemies still kind of just stand out in the open or pop in and out of cover and don't really do anything. They don't try to flank you, they don't show any form of tactics or anything like that. So it's not so good. Also, your squad AI is just as stupid as before. They cannot follow specific commands like go here, you split up and do this and do that. They only really have one purpose, which I actually figured out this time. There's this ability when you're playing solo to have something called a sync shot. And what that does is it allows you to tag up to 3 enemies for your squad members to train in on, and when you give the signal to kill, this gives you 3 automatic kills essentially. And the fact that you can tag enemies from your drone means that you can just tag enemies from anywhere. And I literally do mean from anywhere. It seems like even if your allies don't have line of sight to the enemies that they're killing, they will kill them, even if they have to shoot through walls. It's kind of ridiculous. And it makes the game way too easy when you're playing solo. Now, I think this is how the developers actually intended you to play stealth, because they wanted you to actually use this mechanic to kind of infiltrate bases and stuff like that, but it overall just makes it so that you go to an entrance of a base, you throw your drone out, you tag some enemies, and then you take them out, and then you just do that over and over and over again. You don't feel any pressure to do anything but this. Now, you could technically infiltrate while you're doing it, and it is admittedly pretty fun when you do that, but that's one way to play the game, in a game that's supposed to be play however you want, when this is the only way you can effectively stealth in this game, unless you are just, like, lucky. It's a very inconsistent experience, is what I'm trying to say here. And that is pretty much how I would describe the entire solo experience. Alright, the next con that I talked about was that the driving controls, and back here it's actually fortunate. So the update I have here is I found one vehicle in the entire game that controls fairly well, and it's this little buggy here that has a minigun on the top of it. It actually controls surprisingly well. I don't know if it's intentional, because this is like an awesome vehicle that you have to steal from the police force in the game, so maybe they're like, well, this is the one that's going to control right because it's supposed to be like top tier, whatever. I don't know. It's kind of cheap, and if that is the case, that's really like artificial. Like, you're making the experience worse for practically no reason. I mean, I get it, not every car in real life controls perfectly, and you could deviate it a little bit, but make sure that not every car controls like shit. And it's not just the cars. I didn't really talk about it last video, but the motorcycles are terrible. As soon as you start to turn in a motorcycle, it's pretty much over. You will never drive in a straight line ever again. Also, the flying controls in the helicopter and the airplanes, there is no rotor control for either of those things, so you cannot turn on a horizontal plane. If you can't turn on a horizontal plane, it makes flying incredibly inaccurate, and it can cause some sticky situations where you're trying to land on a specific spot, but you can't control your helicopter or your plane very well. So you end up just crashing or causing a bunch of attention to be falling on yourself. The next con I talked about was the cover mechanic, which was my biggest gripe, and then just overall the kind of floatiness of all the controls. Once again, nothing has really changed here. I've just been given more time with the game, and I think that I was a little unfair to the game last time. It's not a completely shit cover system. Once you get used to it, it tends to work, but you have to get used to its quirks, and by quirks I mean its problems, because there's sometimes, like I said before, that you'll be in cover and seemingly for no reason you cannot shoot from behind that cover, or when you poke your head out, you're still aiming at a wall. It causes, once again, a very inconsistent experience that you eventually have to grow accustomed to, but that's not something you should have to do. There should just be a good cover system. You can go in and out of cover too easy. I think that's the problem. There's no like magnetism to your character in the wall. I think that's necessary for creating a satisfying feeling when you're in cover and in combat. Alright, the next thing that I remember talking about is the story, and as with everything else, nothing's really changed here.
Cock holster.
In this open beta, you get a new region, a new section of the map to explore, and it's an incredible section. It's beautiful. That's one thing I want to say that I didn't really talk about last video, is the world and the environment in this game looks amazing. Alright, so I had to look back at my old video to figure out what the next con was, but one thing that I forgot was... oh shit, I forgot it again. The other things that I mentioned in the video are relatively unchanged, or things that I don't really have to address again. Like, this still isn't a good first impression. But I also want to say that as harsh as I am on this game, it is still really fun to play with friends. The footage I have behind me is when I was playing for like 2 hours last night with my friends. It was incredibly fun, if not like extremely chaotic, because we barely got to stealth. We're actually going to make a gameplay video out of that, so you wait for that. It's probably going to come out next week. It's fun to play when you're playing with friends, but if you're playing by yourself, or if you run out of anything to do, any missions to do, it's immediately not fun to play. There's like a hard stop. As soon as you run out of content, which might happen fairly quickly in this. I mean, it happened in the last beta. Like, as soon as I finished the story in the last beta, I just stopped playing because there was no reason to. The game gives you no incentive, there's no replayability. So if you have friends to play with this with, grab them right now and say, hey, download the open beta, let's try this out, because you're going to need people to play this with. You can probably get some people online. There might be groups online that will play this with you, but if you want to play with your friends, you're definitely going to want them to try out this open beta and see for yourselves if it's something that you could see yourself spending $60 on. It's not a terrible experience. This is definitely a AAA game here. There is a lot of attention to detail. I really like some of the small things in this game. Like, if you lay down and go prone in the dirt and then you roll around, you'll actually see where the dirt was on your character's body. Or say like you're in a really clay, kind of red clay, dusty area. If you go down, when someone revives you and you get back up, you'll see an outline of where the dirt was on your back. That's a really nice touch. But then there's other weird things. It's one of those situations where I think of a good thing for this game and I'm like, that's pretty nice, I like that. But then I think of something that's bad and I think, ugh, God, stay away. You can even destroy a vehicle just by shooting through its windows. Not shooting the vehicle at all. If you shoot through the windshield and the back window of the car, it'll blow up eventually. That doesn't make any sense. It's so weird that they gave so much attention to detail in some areas and then no attention to detail in other areas. Maybe with like a year's more development time and polish time, this game could be really good. They could have added more stuff or made a lot of the problems ironed out so that those things weren't as big of a problem. I'm not the kind of person who needs a good story to enjoy a game. If a game is fun, then I'll still enjoy it. If you just have problems that stack on top of each other, like a bad story and content that isn't replayable, then I'm not going to buy your game when there's other problems on top of those things. I don't know. I don't think the game is totally shit. I don't think it's bad. Like I said, if you have the opportunity to play it this weekend, I highly recommend you check it out. But just keep in mind, if you find a problem with something, it's probably not going to be fixed. I'm tired of all this, oh, it's just a beta, it's just a beta. The game comes out next week. It's not going to be fixed. Now, there might be some things like the developers said they're going to work on fine-tuning the vehicles and controls and stuff like that. Maybe that'll happen. But I would say the vast majority of the problems that are present in the beta right now are probably still going to be there at launch. So make sure you play it, try it for yourself, and make sure you accept those problems if you decide to buy it.
Cock holster.
Alright, that is the end of the video. I know I didn't address every single point that I made last time, but that's mostly because this beta is not any different from the last beta other than the fact that they added a new section. Yeah, I got another video coming out next week, another gaming obscurity video coming out next week. I'm gonna try early next week. We'll see how it goes. And then, yeah, probably another gaming obscurity after that. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. If you're from Reddit and you somehow found our channel, thanks to YouTube Haiku. Once again, thank you very much. If you want to watch more, just subscribe. I'm gonna keep trying to make this kind of quality content. If it is quality, it's gonna get better. Don't worry. The more you watch, the better it'll get. That's how it works on YouTube. So, thank you guys. Bye!